Hey everyone, welcome back to the Habs Tonight YouTube community. That intro every time, man. I know we say it almost every intro, but that intro is just so sick.
It gets me fired up every time, man. You just like when you hear the crowd reaction, it just kind of like what we were talking about with Galley the other day, where man, it was kind of a letdown that the fans didn't get a chance to be a part of that run because it would have been wild. And there's nothing better than the Bell Center rocking in the playoffs. So it gets me fired up, man. How you been? It's been a couple of weeks since we've been able to get after it here.
I've been good. Sold my house, moved out of there, moved into
Beautiful.
mom and dad's house while the new one's getting built. Drywall's up now, so we're still about 6 weeks, 7 weeks out here, but pretty hectic life here the last few weeks. So appreciate everybody on the team stepping up. I know you guys had a great interview with Gally there last week with you and Nick. We did crushing cans the other day. So finally just get back in the groove of recording some content here, and I'm pretty fired up about this one today. We got Ryan Poehling on the show. We'll bring him in here shortly, but I mean, this is gonna be a fun one. I'm excited.
Yeah, we've had some past guys, some recently retired guys. We got Galley, obviously some current guys are coming up in the future. But to have a young prospect that I know personally and a guy that's going to be a huge part of Montreal's future going forward, it's exciting. It's exciting for the fans, everyone that's going to get a chance to listen to this and break down the last couple of years of everything he's gone through, which I think in the long run is going to help him be a really, really incredible NHL player. So I'm pumped, man.
No, for sure. And that's one thing you were alluding to, but talking about playoffs and witnessing with fans, the young core that I like to say of like Suzuki, KK, Romy, Caulfield coming in, Poehling's going to be another one. It's just these guys are going to get the opportunity to finally play playoffs in front of a full Bell Center, which would be absolutely bananas. And it'll be, I think, pretty steady for years to come with that group they're bringing in here.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw the big roles that they played, and I think Pales is going to be another guy that's going to jump in next year and really surprise some people. You see so many guys that come in and go through the process a little bit and go to the American League, figure it out a little bit. Not that he needed to figure it out, but just play, just go and play pro and get used to just some different things. And obviously took a huge leap this year, and I think did what everybody expected. And then I don't expect him to be back to the American League next year. I think he's ready for the NHL, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this year. When you play with a little bit of confidence, you start scoring some goals, you get back to your game in pro. I feel like it just translates, and I don't want to put the big expectations on him, but I'm expecting a big year from him.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we should intro him in here. This guy was drafted first round, 25th overall in the 2017 NHL draft. Born 1999 from Lakeville, Minnesota. Played 3 years at St. Cloud State. Let's welcome Ryan Poehling to the Habs Tonight channel.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good, buddy. What a picture, right? How many times have you seen that one?
Way too many.
That was when I was going through some YouTube clips today. I just wanted to see some funny stuff about you, and it's crazy. There's like 300 videos of people with like talking about your first game and I don't even want to ask you about it, but we got to just get it out of the way right away and discuss it because I was there for it. I
was there too.
Oh, yes, you were. Yeah,
I lost my hat.
Oh, well worth it. So I just a little quick backstory. I remember we were kind of playing with the extras there for a week. It was the first chance that I got a chance to see you. And, not knowing anything about you, I was like, man, this guy can play. He's big. He can skate. He's got skill. He sees the ice. And then you come in and rip 3 in a shootout. Just walk us through that one. And then we're going to rewind a little bit. Like, how crazy was it? I know you found out. What was the day before you found out? When did you find out?
Yeah, I remember the day before. It was like they told me, hey, because you guys were in a big like fight for that final spot. And I remember, right. I forgot who it was, but it might have been the Islanders. Columbus won in a shootout or something.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
11:30 at night, and that's kind of when I like had a feeling, I guess. And then I found out the next morning I was going to play. And I mean, I think it was kind of nice just knowing that the game didn't really matter in a sense. I mean, it's just going out there and playing, so that helped a lot. And it was crazy though, because my dad, his birthday was the night before. And so they had no idea. And then finally, like I told them that next day at like 4 a.m., I called them and was like, hey, I'm pretty sure I'm playing. And so they didn't sleep all night and flew private out there and ended up getting to see my game, which was pretty cool.
Unreal. What a feeling, man. What a feeling. That's so cool. I knew that backstory, man, but I just love the way you tell it. That's something that I think every hockey player, when you get to that stage, you play your first game, you score your first goal, you ski your first hat trick, which not many guys do. To share that with your family is so cool. Let's rewind a little bit. Growing up in Minnesota, something I love to dig into. I know you got a lot of other interests, but was hockey always your number one when you were a little kid? You're like, I want to be a hockey player. This is what I want to do.
I think so. I mean, in the back of my head, maybe, but my parents are really good about it. I mean, I feel like, especially in today's world, everyone's just like, they play one sport and they stick with it and they kind of get tired of it. So I think my parents did a good job. I played 5 or 6 sports growing up, and then I was really good at baseball, and that was kind of my best sport. But I realized I had to stop playing once I enjoyed sitting on the bench more than actually playing. So I stopped playing baseball then, and then just pursued hockey. And honestly, in Minnesota, I mean, it's like the high school is like the greatest thing ever as far as state tournament goes and stuff. So like, you don't think much past that. And I got the opportunity to win a state championship there with my 2 brothers. And then after that, teams were asking for us for college. And then we're like, this is kind of something that we should take pretty seriously. I mean, you can get a college degree out of it and do that. And so I think that was kind of the moment where I realized, hey, this is something that can really benefit your life for yourself and for your family. So I think that's kind of when I decided that this is something I wanted to do.
So was it always like, was college always the route for you, or like, was there a chance you're going to go junior up in Canada or anything else, or was it like just mindset on NCAA?
No, it was always NCAA. I mean, I'm a big schooling guy, and I like to get learn about certain things. So I think it was schooling, but it's pretty funny. I remember there's so many practices where like the Portland Winterhawks, like they drafted me, and they would show up to my high school practices, and like I still get Christmas cards from them all the time. Like they were pushing so hard, and I was just like, I'm not that type of guy. I need to go to school and hang out with normal people and stuff. So, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Us junior people, you can't really trust them, man. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
But man, let's talk about playing with your brothers. You have 2 brothers, correct?
2, Nick and Jack are the older ones, and then Luke's the youngest one. But yeah, I played with them too, correct?
Okay, man. What was that like to play with your brothers? That must have been so fun.
Oh God, it was unbelievable. So yeah, they were 2 years older than me, so I got to play 2 years of high school with them. And then my junior year of high school, they went to juniors, and then I ended up graduating high school early to go to college. So we all got to become freshmen at once and played 3 years there, and it was, I mean, spectacular. There's a few, I'd say probably 25 games where we got to play as a line, which was pretty special. I mean, especially to do it at such a high level, it was perfect. And for my family, I mean, that's the easiest thing. The drive was an hour and a half, and instead of all 3 of us splitting up, they got to go to just one game at a time, which was really special for us. And I mean, looking back, that's probably the most fun I've had playing hockey. I mean, it's hard to beat that. You're playing in college, you're with your best friends, then you're also with your brothers. So they actually just quit, or I should say retired, but quit either way. They quit after this year, and they started redoing houses and flipping them, something like you're doing, Weiser. So
love it.
They love it. Yeah.
Love it. They're going to be the next guests on the show.
Yeah, they should be. Property brothers.
Yeah. That's unreal, man. I always, after going through junior and I, playing pro and hearing stories of guys playing college, man, I wish I played college. Just not even for hockey, man. I'm just talking like away from the rink. It would have been so fun. Yeah. You're just on it, like some of these junior cities. Like I played in a small junior city. Most of them are, like small 20, 30,000 people. Like you had that many in your college. Like could only imagine how much fun that would be, man.
Yeah, you would have loved it. My brother was my roommate. Like we had to live in a dorm room together, and that was pretty fun. Like I was 17 years old, so it would have been tough. Right. I feel like if I was with someone else, but me and him, we had a great time together.
Yeah, so young, man. That's so young. Did you always plan to graduate early? Like you're pumping up the credits so you could play college early, or what?
No, it happened like my last semester of junior year of high school. The coach of St. Cloud came up to me. He's like, "Do you think you could excel?" And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. So then I had to go to Normandale Community College that summer and take a full year of high school in like 2.5 months, which was one of the hardest summers ever. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And you're working out, doing that, and yeah, it was tough. Definitely worth it though.
So like we're talking about the college. Obviously you played St. Cloud State. Were you playing with Charlie Lindgren as well when he was there or no?
No, so he would have been a senior my freshman year, but he ended up signing early with the Habs. Oh. So yeah. But yeah, me and Charlie are close. I played with his brother Ryan growing up from time to time, and then obviously played with Chuck in the Val and a little bit in Montreal. So he's a beauty, though. His family's great, and Chuck's an unreal guy.
Oh, Chuck is amazing. He's the most like probably normal goalie that I think I've ever played with.
Seriously.
And I don't know if calling him normal is probably the right word. Like he's different, and he's in the best way. Like he's the best guy.
He is the best guy.
Oh man, I love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome.
He was actually one of the goalies I was hoping that would get more of an opportunity, because it seems like he was always just like the third guy no matter what. And I was always hoping, because he played the game you scored your 3 goals or your first NHL game.
Yep.
Because I remember that was my first game going as a fan, and I was like, Carey Price. Like Charlie Lindgren starts. I was like, oh shit. But then you guys end up getting the 3 goals, and you, like you said, you're pretty close to them, so that's pretty cool. But that was just one of those goalies I always hoped that would get more of an opportunity in Montreal, because we know he just switched teams now, but it's still pretty good for him though. Good new opportunity, fresh start. So
100%. I hope he does well with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the draft a little bit, Pales. Going into your draft year, what were your expectations? Did you figure, okay, I got a really good chance to be a first round pick? Am I going to be a top 2 round pick? What were your expectations?
Yeah, mine was a little different. I mean, I don't know. Did you go through the process? Did you go to the drafts and everything and go through interviews? I don't know if it worked the same way, but
no, I got passed over twice. I got drafted as a 19th, so like my 3rd year eligible.
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went to the whatever it's called, the combine or whatever, and I think there was, out of 30 teams at the time, there's 29 interviews. So I was just like, I could have gone anywhere within that range. I had no idea, and I was just excited to be there. I really thought that LA was going to take me at 11. I wanted to say I knew LA was a chance to go to. I think Arizona had the 20th pick, and then Montreal had the 25th pick, and then Chicago told me if I'm open at 26, I'd be taken there. So I knew, like, at that point, I was like, okay, this is. And I remember the day of the draft, Montreal after my initial interview, they interviewed me again that day.
Yeah.
And so I had a feeling that it was going to be them once they called, and and it happened. But funny, I mean, it's so scary going into those draft rooms, like especially Montreal's. You got everyone. I swear, everyone on their committee is just like jacked. You know what I mean? It's just like
every single guy. Every single guy.
Oh, you're an 18-year-old. You're like, oh my god. You know what I mean? It's like, this is insane.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know, like literally every human on Montreal's management staff has bigger biceps than every player on the team.
100%.
They're just, I don't know if they just pump guns. It's just straight upper bodies, but they're just huge individuals. Just
100%.
Did they ask any weird questions, or was like Berge kind of laughing, kind of like himself, or what was he?
It was pretty casual, but I just think that whole mannerism. I remember in Detroit. I was in Detroit, and I forgot who it was, but they brought. It wasn't any of the Detroit staff. They brought in like some special guy who's like really good at giving interviews, and it's just like, what? And he's just dogging. He's dogging me the whole time, like just dogging me. And he's like, so do you go to Canada? Like, do you go gamble a lot? And I'm like, well, I go with my friends from time to time. There's a racetrack by me. He's like, so you have a gambling problem? I'm like, what? And he just kept grilling me about this weird stuff. And then finally, I was like, why am I even here? Like, you clearly don't like me. Like, you just grilling me the whole time. And I got up and left. And the guy was like, he couldn't believe it. And I was like, this is embarrassing.
I love hearing that. I feel like that happens a ton. I feel like there's so many teams that just want to get a reaction out of you to see if you can piss you off, or I don't. It's kind of weird to me. Like, if you like the kid, like, you might not even have a chance to draft him. So ask some real questions, get to know him.
Yeah, super interesting way of doing it. I was just like, this is just not for me, and I got up and left. It was odd.
Well, I think Kirby Doc went through the same thing with Stevie Y. He's like, do you smoke weed? Just right out of the blue, and Kirby's like, what? I think, like you said, I think they just try to catch you guys off guard, see what rattles you.
100%.
Yeah. So then Montreal picks you. Obviously, you're at the draft. You got your family there. What's that feeling like?
It was special. I mean, it was in Chicago, so it was really close to home. We went a day early, and we ended up golfing like one of the country clubs down there that was super nice. And then just walked around and went shopping, just kind of enjoyed the day. And then that night, obviously, just went there, and whatever happened. Like, I had no idea, and I think that was kind of the most exciting part. Like, you don't really know what's going to happen. You could get taken early, you could be waiting until the next day. So it was just more of an excitement factor. I mean, it's kind of like the start of a new generation for you, where you're just like, okay, this is like where I've been, and it's exciting that I've got to this point, but you still haven't proved much. So I think that was kind of the exciting moment for myself.
For sure. And then after the draft, you actually get to participate in 2 World Juniors, 2018 in Buffalo, where you went 7 games, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, 1 bronze. And then 2019 Vancouver, 7 games, 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points for silver. So maybe just talk about the World Juniors. Like, we always like to ask the players how it was, because I mean, the Buffalo one, obviously you guys had that outdoor game against Canada, which was a blizzard. Victor Mete talked about it, said it was insane. And just like, I think every kid's dream, and I think more so now, like obviously Canada, but in the United States too, you can see it getting more popular and more popular. But maybe just talk about the World Junior experience playing for Team USA.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's like, I mean, it's just like the Canadiens for us. It's a huge honor, and it's a great experience. And I think my first year in World Juniors, I felt like our team was super skilled. Like, we had a super skilled team, a lot of high-end guys, but it was just a different vibe, and it wasn't like anyone's problem. I just think that no one really went out of their way to like really make yourself a team, because I think that's the hardest part in those tournaments, is like you got 2.5, 3 weeks to make yourself a team. And then coming back that following year in Vancouver, I think it was completely different. Like, we were winning, but we still knew we had things to work on. And then we ended up losing against Sweden in overtime, and we kind of came together. Like, it was a great game. We came back, but they all played us the entire time, and I think we understood that and kind of learned from it. And I think from that point on, we really blended as a team. And I thought we were going to do it there at the end against Finland, but they played well. And I mean, some things just didn't go our way, and it ended up being tough. But that game was unbelievable. I love the Bill style jerseys too. That was my first year.
Those were so I remember watching that. That just looked like a nightmare there, man. Holy smokes.
Those balaclavas are so hot. Have you ever played an outdoor game, Weise?
Yeah. And it was I lasted a period. I broke my hand, but it was I was in the Boston one. When was that? 2016? January 1st against Boston. It was unreal, man.
That had to be light though.
Oh, in Foxborough, man, it was nuts.
Yeah,
I was buzzing that game too. I felt so good.
Well, I remember in our game, so it's supposed to be like they're telling us how packed this game's going to be. Well, you go out there and there's like no one in the stands, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Well, I guess there's a big snowstorm, and I guess a semi flipped and like clogged up one of the main areas. So then like it took like 2 hours to clear out, and then by the time like the middle of the second, I think people started packing in, which was like kind of crazy. But yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. All right, let's fast forward. Let's talk about the time we spent together, first year pro. Walk me through training camp. Obviously, you come in the first game, you have like a historical first game. Expectations are huge. And then you start the year in Laval. Like, take me through your mindset just coming into that training camp and then starting in Laval.
Yeah, I'm a big hockey guy, but I also need like my off time. Not off time in a sense where I need to stop skating and working out, but I just need to have my mind free. And I think the best way for that is when I'm at home. And I felt like I had my first game, then I went home for 2 weeks and 2-3 weeks, and then I was back in Montreal skating, working out, and it was just like 5 days working out, 4 days skating. It was just constantly that till training camp. And I felt like I never really had any off time. And I mean, that was my problem too. I could have been more vocal and said, hey, like, I need my off time. You
went college and then you jumped in with us, practiced, and then you played, and then you had 2 weeks off essentially as an off season, which is insane.
Yeah. So it's like I felt like I never really had a break. And then going into that training camp, it's like, especially mentally, you're just like, this is what I worked for. This is why like I deserve this, Yeah. And then when it all comes crashing down on you, you just feel horrible. And I think I let my emotions get the best of me. But I mean, throughout the year, I learned so much. And it's not like I wasn't pouting or anything. I had a great time. You know that. I mean, our team was fun. We had a lot of older guys, young guys. Like,
absolutely,
it's a different group, but we had an unbelievable time. But just me personally, I felt like I just was so hard on myself. And like, it felt like at that moment, like hockey was the only thing that was important to me.
Yeah.
And so when it's not going well, you're just miserable. You know? So
Absolutely. That's tough. That's tough for young guys. I think that's the biggest adjustment. It has nothing to do with the game. It's totally mental, where, like, you work so hard and you had a taste of it in the NHL. You want to be in the NHL. And then obviously getting sent to the American League, I don't care who you are. You didn't pout either. Like, you had a great attitude. You worked your ass off. I can vouch for that. No problem. But like, mentally, anybody would be upset about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people struggle with is you're like, I'm in the American League. I don't want to be here. Like nobody wants to be there.
Yeah.
So it's a tough mental grind, man. I like the way you say that because I think that's where a lot of people don't understand young guys. It's like, okay, well, maybe he's in the American League for 3 years and he's struggled down there. Then boom, he gets a chance in the NHL and plays unreal. And you're like, well, why did he struggle down there? It's like, fuck, there's a million reasons.
Yeah.
Like, mental is number one. It's an absolute grind.
100%. Yeah. And I think I've done a better job, especially last year. And just like when I got home that summer, I just really took, and the COVID thing obviously happened and you had a lot of time off, but
right.
I'd say it was one of the best things for me. I mean, I just got to completely decompress from hockey and really think. And I think it just made me like, I didn't spend much time with my family. Like, I feel like I was always home, but I never really like spent time with them. And we got to spend 2 months together in Florida, just us, and it was a great time. And I think it just makes you realize what really matters in life, and that makes it so much easier to play hockey when you realize those types of things. That I think when I went this year, it was just like completely different. Where I was just like, I mean, I'm going to do my hockey thing, and I'm going to do it at the best that I can. But whatever happens, happens, and you know that back home and everything else, your life's going to be just the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like when you come back for your first training camp, like after the big first game, like as a young guy, are you going like, obviously you're pumped, you got the 3 goals and the shootout winner, but like, is there something like in the back of your mind, knowing Montreal's market and the fan base, like, God damn, I shouldn't have done that? Because like expectations are like so high. Like some fans that never watched you through your college days and stuff didn't really know like what kind of player you were. And then some were expecting like, and 40 goal scorer, 50 goal scorers for the season. And it's like, that's not kind of what Poehling plays. But in your mind, like, were you like, shit, like the expectation's so high now?
I don't think so right at first, but then it just, I mean, gradually over time it kind of gets to you. But I still don't think that's an issue. I just think that, I mean, if anyone thinks you're going to get 3 goals in the game, then they're obviously crazy. So you don't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
But no, I think just for myself, I mean, maybe I put expectations too high on myself too. I mean, I knew certain things and maybe I wasn't ready for that jump and whatever. But no, I never thought that, and I still never think that. I mean, I'm always going to believe in myself and just work for what I believe will come for myself. And I think that's the biggest thing I can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. That's a great answer. I love that. And in your defense too, I completely didn't agree with the way that you were being used, and you don't have to answer on this. I'm not going to ask you, but you're a guy that needs to play with good players that can think the game. And I saw that very, very clearly in Laval. You can't put you with guys that are like blinders, north-south. Like you're a guy that thinks the game well and you know how to play. Obviously, you don't get drafted in the first round for nothing. So I think you just got to be used in the correct way. And that's something that I'm looking forward to this year. But obviously last season you ripped it up point-wise. Obviously you were playing a bigger role, which is key. Obviously, there was times you were probably playing 10, 11, 12 minutes the first year with me, which you're not going to score a lot playing that little bit. But this year, your numbers took a jump. Obviously, your opportunity took a jump. Just break me through the way you were playing and obviously how confident you were.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. And I think consistency was kind of my most important thing. I mean, not even with just myself, but I think in my ice time. I feel like in my first year, like, it's kind of weird to drive into the game wondering if you're going to play 5 minutes or 18 minutes that night, and it's like, you don't know. Yeah. So I think this year is nice, kind of knowing your role and buying into it, and it made it easier just to not think and just play hockey. And I had 2 great line mates, Joel Tisdale and Blend Easy. I mean, I love both of them. They're unbelievable guys, and we got along quite well off the rink. But on the rink, we just all kind of play the same way, and it was nice once you I feel like when we play together, we see you never knew what line you're going to be on either. You know what I mean? It was just constantly moving, and
every period.
Yeah, 100%. So it was nice this year to actually have a steady line and go through it. I mean, granted, we were winning, so it wasn't that hard of a choice. But yeah, we had a great time together, and us 3. I mean, at the end of the year, I don't know if you were watching, but we all 3 got hurt the same exact game. So
yeah, I did see that, and we're gonna get to that injury really quickly. But I just wanted to touch on something that was interesting that you said, because I found I played my best hockey in my career when I started to have kids, and I could remove myself from the game when I went home, and I wouldn't think about it all day. And obviously similar for you, you feel like you play better when you can relax, and it's not 24/7 hockey, which is not good for anybody. But in a year like this, was it not tough in COVID? Like you guys couldn't do anything, you couldn't go anywhere. How did you find that balance?
Yeah, it was tough. Like, I don't like. We would literally, and I lived right across the street. I lived in the TDC, so it was literally just a walk to the rink because we practiced at the Bell Center this year.
Right.
So walk to the rink, do your stuff, try to stay late as you can, and then come home. So you have like 8 to 10 hours a day, which, I mean, at the start, I'm just watching Netflix and stuff, playing video games. And I'm like, this isn't healthy, you know? So I really got into like day trading and reading books. So
nice. Good
that was kind of stuff. Like I was fired up to go home and check the market and see how I was doing this and that. So
beautiful.
Other than that, I would have lost my mind. So
yeah.
And I was way better at keeping in touch with like my family too, like, and just friends. Like if you're just FaceTiming them or texting them, like you feel like you're doing something of value. And I think that helped a lot.
Right. And I feel like COVID kind of pushed people into that a little bit. I feel like you were forced to connect people through FaceTime and kind of check in on people. And I know I have. I feel like I've continued to do that going forward now.
Yeah.
And obviously you have too, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
So you just pointed out like just getting like out of the hockey mindset for a bit was one big adjustment you made this year. And obviously your play kind of proved that. Was there any other like minor changes you did to your actual like game inside hockey that you think that maybe helped you out a little bit more this year compared to years prior?
Honestly, no. I mean, Weiser knows. I mean, when you get at such a high level, I think everyone just knows how to play, and it's just like the mindset and mentality of it, and obviously just being in shape and stuff. Which I had a long off season. I think that helped out a lot, getting a lot faster and stronger. But there's nothing crazy. I think the biggest thing is just getting out of your own head. I mean, the mental side of hockey is something that's real, and it's the biggest thing. I mean, if you have no worries going into the game, and you know that, hey, just work your ass off and do the right things, like it's stuff will go your way. I think that's kind of the mindset I had throughout the whole year, and it obviously worked out.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. When you look at a guy like you you show up, like you said, and you work your ass off, and good things are going to happen because you're such a talented player. And when you can avoid staying out of your own head like anybody, that's when the game starts getting easy for you. You start gaining confidence, you start scoring, and then it just takes off from there and snowballs, right? So that's unreal. So let's walk through the injury, how it happened, and how's the rehab on that right now?
Yeah. So it started actually last summer. I was just like working out and like I could feel my wrist. It's just like right here. So like 2 tendons right there. It was just like very sore and like it would hurt when I moved it. So I went to the doctor, gave me a cortisone shot, and I waited like 2 weeks and it felt a little better. But then once I started playing hockey, it just started hurting again. And I'm like, okay, but like once it heated up, it was fine. And finally, like whatever, like 4 or 5 months ago playing with it, finally it's like unbearable where like I'm like I can't like every time you take a face off or shoot, you just feel it and it's very painful. And we had 10 days off. So I was like, okay, after this game, like this is the one, like after this game, I'm going to really check it out. So Glenn got me an MRI, and obviously Doc told me like MRI came back and had 2 torn tendons in my wrist, which was devastating. I was like, okay, that's crazy. So then I just went through the whole process, came home and saw my doctor, and he said the same thing, and then ended up getting surgery. And they said like a 6 to 8 week recovery, but then after the surgery they told me 8 to 12, which was kind of shitty. But no, I got cleared right before I left for Florida, so that was like 11-week timeline, and now I've just been doing rehab and stuff, and I'll jump on the ice this week and see how it is, stick handling, shooting and stuff. So it's something to look forward to, definitely. But I mean, as far as my recovery went, they said like 100%, which is good.
Beautiful. Yeah. Love to hear that. You got any pain in like moving now, or like nothing?
No, I don't have much pain. It's just like a little numb right here, which I'm a little concerned about. I don't know if he went a little too deep on one of the cuts or not, but it just I think it's just like, I mean, you get surgery. I think it's gotten better over the last few days, but it's just like a little different.
Unreal. So what's you said you're getting on the ice next week, and then what's the rest of the summer look? You'll head down to Montreal first week of September?
I think so. I'm not really sure how all that stuff. I think that's how it works out, but I'm not too certain on that.
Right.
But yeah, something like that.
Oh yeah.
So we asked some of our social media like groups we're in or whatever, and some questions on Reddit, because you said you're getting back on the ice. Or is it too late? Like, will you be joining that? I see you guys go in that Debuty League or whatever. Are you gonna be jumping back into that or no?
I don't think so. I think this year they changed it to just because there's an agency that runs it, and I think it's mainly their guys that are kind of, it's like an exclusive thing, kind of weird. But
oh yeah, that's really weird. I always thought it was just kind of like all Minnesota guys could just get it.
I mean, usually it is, and I don't know if that's true or not. But also, I've been skating with myself mainly just because of my injury, and I don't want to like just skate with other people. Like that's it. So, but I skate with other guys in the morning. That's nicer.
Yeah, beautiful. Right, you don't need anyone running you out there either.
No, exactly.
Someone smash into you and jam your hand. That would be good.
With a cage on. There's a bunch of college guys out there. I don't need him high sticking me or something.
Oh, I hate when that happens. You get some young kid that's never worn a visor before, and he sticks going like this everywhere.
Like that.
Yeah, nobody needs that. So let's talk about mindset for training camp this year. What's your mind like going in?
I think it's the same thing. I mean, the team's really good, and they're obviously very deep in the center position. And I mean, that's just the situation that you're put in. And so we'll see what happens with me. I don't have much to say. I mean, I feel good mentally, and I've had a good time here in the States, and I've been working hard too. So I'm definitely excited to go back and play hockey. I mean, it's been a while for me since all the surgery and all, but it'll be fun.
Like, obviously you're center, but like, is like going into camp? Are you like, I will play anywhere, I just want to be on this roster? Like, is that the mindset going in? Like, I'm going to do anything just to make that team, doesn't matter what position it is?
Yeah, 100%. I think for myself, like I see myself as a center, and I always have. I mean, I think I play the game better there, but if there's a position you open up, I mean, you'd be idiotic not to say, no, I'm not playing wing, send me down to Laval. You know what I mean? Like, like we all know it is, but yeah, I see myself as a center for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. I see you as a center, and you know, when you look, if you're building a team and you look at the age of the centers there, it's mind blowing how good the future is going to be for you guys, man. I'm so excited.
For sure.
We always kind of Brando, I'll throw it over to you after my last one here. We always just kind of ask the guys, you know, for all of our Montreal fans that are watching, just to send a message to them and say whatever you want. So go to town, bud.
All right, perfect. Hey, everyone, just wanted to say thank you for all the support and everything. I mean, over the last 2 years, I didn't know much about Montreal before I got drafted, but when I came there, I fell in love with the city and the fans. I think that people take that for granted, how big of a culture and organization that Montreal really is. And I can't thank you guys enough. It's a lot of fun, especially in Laval, too. I mean, there's not many teams in the NHL that have a fan support system like that. So I appreciate all of you guys, and thank you.
All right, I just got two quick fan questions, and we'll let Poehling go here. One person wants to know, who's your hockey idol growing up, and who have you tried to model your game after?
My hockey idol would probably I love Pavel Datsyuk for some reason. I think my cousin got me a Detroit jersey, and I always watched him growing up. So I'd say him, but model my game after, I'd probably say I like Ryan O'Reilly a lot. I mean, it's pretty funny. I said when I got drafted, I was like, everyone I went to, they always ask you like player comparison. I would say Ryan O'Reilly, and like everyone would laugh at me, and like they'd be like, "Oh my God, like do you think you want to get drafted in first round in the NHL playing like Ryan O'Reilly?" And like they'd pull up his numbers and this and that, and I was like, okay, like that's just who I thought. And then all of a sudden, this guy becomes a Conn Smythe winner in the NHL run, and I'm just like,
holy smokes. Wow, that's a really good story, man. Because he is. I would take that guy on my team every day of the week.
Every day of the week, and they just like pulling up his stats, this and that, never winning record. I'm like, this is amazing.
Wow. I hope those guys are fired at this point, because holy smokes, they dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
So yeah, that would be it.
Brando, you got any other fans on there? Or are we all cleaned up there?
I think we're good here. So just I think we just gotta say, on behalf of the Habs Night team, like Dale and myself and Nick in the back end helping us out here, just thank you for joining the show with us, giving us some time out of your summer, and really appreciate it. And nothing but good luck here coming into the season here in a couple months.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was a good time. It was good seeing you,
thanks,
Weise.
buddy. Hey, great to see you, buddy. Brother. All right, talk soon. Thanks, man.
Yeah, we will. See you, buddy.
Yeah, see you, pals.
See you.
Such a beauty, that guy.
Yeah, that was a good interview.
Yeah, he's awesome. And I think he's going to be a really, really good player. And people, like, you know, the things he said there can get miscued. Like, some people will say, well, he doesn't focus on hockey 100%. And there's a lot of guys that are like that, where you can't be all about hockey. Like
No, you need to unplug.
you'll drive yourself insane. There has to be some kind of release. And it's tough for young guys because, if you don't have I'm not saying go get a girlfriend, but if you don't have a girlfriend or a wife, even, or a family at home, like, it's tough to really get yourself away from it, especially like social media now is insane.
Yeah.
You just can't get away from it. And playing in a market like Montreal or something, it's just, the markets in Canada are crazy. So it's tough for guys to unplug. I'm so glad that you opened up and just said something about that, because I think that's great. I think it's that's what's going to make him a really good player, is when he's at the rink, boom, he's dialed in 100%. But on the other side, like, he has a life and he does other things that he's interested in.
For sure. And I like, because I didn't understand, I'm not saying he dropped off that first year in Laval, but I mean, obviously the fans had such big expectations. And then to finally hear why, he said he kind of struggled. He's like, I just didn't have enough time off. I couldn't unplug. I need to just get away for a bit. And he didn't have that opportunity. And then you see now going into his second year in Laval, obviously he had that time with the COVID shutdown and everything. And then he has a great year. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can do coming into this fall. And I hope he cracks the lineup. I really do.
I think he cracks the lineup for sure. And I was there the first year, and we've talked about it a ton on the show, where he was just used so poorly. He was the last cut at forward. And then you send him down to Laval, and he's playing on the fourth line and not playing with the best players. And then you call him up, and it's like, okay, this is a 21-year-old kid that's living in hotels, eating out every day. Like, there's just a lot of factors that were not in his favor there, along with a lot of things. And then, he talks about it, like, you go from a whole college year, you're beaten up. Then you come to the NHL he was there for like 2-3 weeks, working out every day, skating every day, beaten up, goes home for 2 weeks, comes back. And, when young kids are there in the summer, like, they're pounding them in the gym and skating. They're not like, taking it easy. Like, they're
competing against each other too, because they're trying to make main camp. So like they're going all out.
And you don't have that like mental, like, okay, I can go home and work out myself, and I'm going to push myself really, really hard, but I don't have the anxiety of strength coach standing behind me, watching me and reporting to the GM every day. Or like, I don't agree with that part, but let guys go home and train and do their own things. Everybody's in such good shape now. Everybody trains so hard. There's no need to have it. If it's guys that, are young and really you think have no idea, okay, that's no problem. But with Ryan Poehling, that one would have been easy to see that was not an issue. So I'm really glad that he said that. And I think the expectations should be huge from him. I think given the right opportunity, he fits in the third hole.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Agree. I do. I love his game. And I like how there's a fan questioned about who he modeled his game after. But when he says Ryan O'Reilly, like, I can see that, because he's big, he's smart, can play the game down low behind the net. He's mentioned that before. He likes holding on to the puck, the cycle game. And it's just a great comparison for him. And I really do think that's why I'm so excited now for how he worded that and explained what happened the first year compared to last year. So I'm so excited, because I do think he could be valuable. I know all the Habs fans are in love with Jake Evans. Jake Evans had a great season, especially for a seventh rounder. But like, I think fans often kind of forget what Poehling can bring too. So I think fans are going to love him even more. And like you said, he could compete for that third hole.
I think so. I love Jake, and I played with Jake, and Jake had a great year, and he showed that he's a bona fide NHL center. But if I'm just looking at structuring the team, like, I think Jake fits in very comfortably as that fourth center role, and I think he's happy to embrace that role. Yeah. I think you have to give Pales that opportunity to play in the third line, and I don't know who his wingers would be. I look at like if I'm going on the right side, it's probably Caulfield and Anderson. Your third guy is probably Galley. Yeah. Like you get Galley and Pales, and I don't know who's on your left side there, but like that's a really good third line. That's a really reliable third line. And I think, to have him play with a guy like Galley would be a great fit. Like, he's not a guy that's afraid to play those hard areas and play down low and protect the puck. And I think that's where you have to at least start him there. I know you could obviously, Montreal could be signing or making some deals, but I don't see them immediately. I thought that they probably would have done that already. What do you think?
I think, I forget where I heard it, but Montreal basically said with their centers now, I think they're just going to roll with them. I think it's like, let's see how we do and just finally let the young kids take over. We saw that with, I know we're going to touch on this here shortly, but like Phil Deneau leaving. So that means like Susie's obviously 1C. You gotta think KK's taking the jump to 2.
Yep.
And then you got the 3-4 between Evans, Poehling.
Yep.
So you can see it there, and I'm kind of happy. And Derek and I talked about this on Crushing Cans. Was yes, Montreal went to the Stanley Cup final, great run, but fans almost have to be more lenient now because this year I think it's going to be a minor step back. I think you make playoffs, fantastic. Anything can happen. You got Carey Price, pumped. But also, this is the time where you have Suzuki, Caulfield, KK, Romanov, Poehling's probably going to be there, Evans. You have this young group coming up, and I think it's finally time to give the reins over to them and not bring in an old vet center to take time away from these guys that are developing.
I agree. I agree completely. And so many times you see teams just logjam your players if you're like, well, they're not quite ready. So we'll bring them in training camp. And then, you know, the young guy outplays them anyways, but you have an older guy on a one way and you're like, well, we'll just keep him. Like,
yeah.
When you look at those centers, man, that's like you would average the youngest centers in the league, obviously, by about 4 years. That's just incredible to have 4 centermen that are that. I think Jakey's the old guy there. What is he, 25?
Yeah,
it's incredible. But I think you got to give them the opportunity, and I think Pales is a guy that people are kind of sleeping on because of the first year that he had, but they shouldn't be. You know, he's almost a point a game last year. I love the way his mindset is right now. You know, he's going to come in and play well. So I think it's going to be awesome. And I think, you know, when we're talking about centers, you lose a guy like Phil Deneau, which we haven't had a chance to touch on. You know, we talked about when we were doing, you know, the pre-free agent kind of show, like that money, Montreal could just, they cannot spend that on Phil Deneau. You can't pay that money.
Just happy I'm happy he got it though. But as like a Montreal fan, it's like where the kids are, because obviously contracts will be coming up in the next 2-3 years, some big ones. And seeing Phil Deneau get that payday, like family set for life now, fantastic. Love it. Just Montreal could spend it better on a few more guys rather than just one. It was my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's, and obviously that's why Berge walked away and people were arguing, and that's just too steep for where he was going to fit on this team. You know, he might be a number 2 in LA and you know, be a little more offensive. Who knows? But you got to leave those holes open and you got to take your chance. Like it's now or never. You know, we saw what Suzuki can do. Everybody knows he's a 1C and he can play that every day of the week, and he's gonna continue to get better. But the timing now for KK. Like he really needs to consistently step up and be that number 2. And, you know, maybe the pressure will be off a little bit knowing, well, look at it, you know, Susie's not going to play ahead of me and Phil's going to play ahead of me. And then I'm going to get down on the 3rd and 4th line. Like, you know, he knows he's coming in. He's the number 2 guy. So maybe the pressure will be off a little bit.
I like that mindset because you got to think that's how he has to be thinking is, okay, Phil Deneau's gone. So there's no more, like you said, getting pushed down to the 4th line or potentially healthy scratch. KK knows now it's Suzuki, me, then Evans and Poehling, or if they bring somebody in. That's why I really hope they don't bring anybody in. I'd rather them just go with the kids. But I think like if you're KK this summer, like this is go time for you. This is your time to finally prove it to them. This is why I was number 3 overall, and I can do this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to come in and consistently be that number 2 guy. And I don't know offensively, like, you know, I'm not going to put a expectation on what kind of points he's going to score this year, but like play like he did in the playoffs where he's heavy. Like even if he wasn't scoring, he was physical, he's defending well, but just he's got to take that number, you know, he's got to take that step as a number 2. If the team's going to be a playoff team, like I think you're bang on when you look at the expectations for the team. I think if you make the playoffs, I think you got to be happy. I think that's a success. With you just look at the division. Yeah, they had a great run, and Montreal was built for the playoffs this year. That was, you know, you have to play potentially 7 games and 14 nights against that team. They were built for that. But when you get in the division now and you start playing some of these other teams, you know, I don't know where they are.
It's gonna be a wild card fight in my opinion, and I'm like we were obviously big Habs fans, but
Mhm.
it's going to be tough. Like you said, Boston's gotten better. Tampa's still going to be good. Florida made some moves. Toronto's still going to be there. Ottawa's not pushing. I don't expect Ottawa to make playoffs, but that's another team on the rise again.
Yeah.
The Metro Division's better. Carolina, you're right. So
there's
tough.
Teams.
But I know you want. Sorry, I just going to say I know you want to talk about some of the signings.
Yeah.
Matthew Pro, obviously very popular in Winnipeg, Montreal Canadiens now.
Yeah, he was. I think he's a serviceable player. I'm interested to see him. It's when I always find when guys play in one team for so long, they like carve out a nice role there and they play well, and the city loves them, the media loves them, and then sometimes they go somewhere else and they were kind of built up a little bit too much on the other team and they struggle somewhere else. So I'm interested to see how he handles it. Being a French guy, and this is interesting too because I saw Berge get on the media there and he was defending it a lot about, at one point this year, we didn't have 3 French guys in the lineup. So you could definitely see he feels the need to have French guys on the roster from an organization, which is, I think it's crazy. I think you put the best roster together that you think is going to win. I understand the French coach thing and I back it. But as for like needing French players on the team, I think you put your best players out there and give the chance to win. I don't think it matters if they're French, English, Swedish, Russian, whatever. What's your thoughts on that one?
I agree completely. And if a Quebec player does make the team, great. But I don't think you can handcuff yourself trying to meet a quota of how many people you have there because the fan base, Montreal is very, very. I'll say fickle. That's not the right word, but it's like just win. That's all the fans want.
Right.
And by winning, it's your best roster out there. It's nice having like a Drouin and Deneau and stuff for the hometown crowd, whatever. But I mean, essentially, your fan base is a lot bigger than just the city of Montreal. And I think even the fans in Montreal or Quebec just want a winning team, regardless of the language or the nation the guy's from.
I agree. And I think, I'm trying to think where he fits in the lineup. I think he's a 4th line guy, probably on this roster. Like I ran down the right side for you, 22, Anderson, Galley,
Army,
and Army on the right side. Army can play both. And then I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the left side here, man. I'm so focused on the right wing all the time.
Left, you got Drew, who's coming back. There's been reports that he'll be back at camp. He's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Seen a picture of him on Twitter the other day. Looks good. I'm happy to see that. He worked through whatever he was dealing with.
Beautiful.
Who else we got on the left? Toffoli.
Yes. Okay. That's who I knew I was forgetting one. He was the big guy that we're forgetting, but Toffoli, Drew, obviously in your top 6, man. That's pretty impressive.
Byron can play there as well.
Yeah. But Byron's out for how long? How long is
Byron's out to like December or February.
Right. And then you got Lex City. And then who am I missing as a left?
Hoffman
too. Yes.
They're deep on the wings now.
Yeah, the wings are good. So I think Perreault probably slots in on your 4th line then.
Kind of a Perry replacement, same kind of point totals.
Yeah.
But I mean, just as a fan, I hated losing him. I loved watching him play.
I was really surprised to see him go, to be honest with you. At this stage, he's won some Stanley Cups already. He's made truckloads of money. Like, it's not about money at that point. And I really thought, or it seemed that he was really connected with that team and that city. So I was really interested to see him switch over to Tampa. Like, he's making that switch thinking they're going to go 3 in a row. Like, I'm not saying that they can't, but man, 3 Stanley Cups, like that's going to be very, very, very difficult. I don't care how good the roster is. The roster is great, but
it's incredible if they do it.
Absolutely.
Or Perry's the new Hossa.
Yeah, he's chasing it and just switching. Yeah, maybe, man, maybe. But it's going to be interesting. When you make that switch and let's talk about the leadership in the locker room. Okay, Perry's gone, Stahl's gone. Like those were, people have made comments about how big their leadership was in dressing room. Webbs is around, but he's not in the locker room. Phil was a real quiet leader. A guy that just quiet, didn't say a lot, but works hard. Like, you lose a lot of leadership in that locker room, and you're really, really handing over the reins, like you said, to the younger guys, and hopefully they've been through the ringer enough that they can handle it. So it's going to be interesting to see. I could see Berge making a late summer signing for an older guy to kind of plug in that lineup somewhere. But
yeah,
we're breaking down the lines right now. I just don't know where you fit in.
You've been in the room. Obviously, we're not talking about who's going to take over the captain role or whatever, but who's vocal in that room? Like, is Galley vocal guy in the dressing room?
Yeah, he's vocal when he needs to be, and obviously commands a lot of respect. So I think he's a big voice in there.
Beautiful man.
Beautiful man's another quiet guy that demands a lot of respect when he speaks. He speaks when he needs to. Sherratt's a vocal guy. I've never played with Edmondson, but he's been around and won a championship in St. Louis. So they still have a lot of leadership there. But you kind of miss those older guys sometimes when you're younger guys. You're going to see some valleys. Obviously, you want those valleys to be a little smaller this year. Suzuki and KK and those guys got to take some steps, but it's going to be interesting. We haven't touched on the Hoffman signing. I'd like to get your opinion on that one first.
I like it, honestly. The money's good. I think it's 3 years at 4.5, if I'm not mistaken, or switched around, either one. I do like it because obviously the power play has been one of those things where Montreal, obviously the power play is better this year than years prior. They're getting better. And I think that's with the additions of the young kids, different kind of game maybe, and also a different kind of coach. Burr got a 3-year extension. But I like Hoffman because I think on the power play, it's another trigger man. You're going to see now, like I'm assuming he's going to be on a half wall with Susie on the other half wall, PD up top. Don't know who's going to be out front or whatever, but it's going to be interesting. And just another weapon, especially when you lose a Shea Weber. I know some people got on to us earlier in this season when we were kind of defending him because we knew something was up, but we didn't know exactly what. And we were trying to tell people like there's more than just hockey. Like there's other stuff going on with these guys. But I think when you lose a Weber, and some people say like he wasn't scoring like he used to, but it was still an option that teams had to be aware of. And I think now you bring Hoffman in, you still have a threat there, but also you have Petrie on the point as a threat. You got Susie on the other half wall as a threat. So I like it. I really do.
Caulfield on the other side. So it's going to be interesting. Susie would come off, downhill on his right side. So that's kind of where Hoffman plays. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes up there. And then, like you said, Petey's up top and, Caulfield on the backside half wall. So
I think they're going to be pretty fluid. They'd have to be to set up the one-timers.
It's nice to have some options. You got a lot of options now. And he scores. Like, say what you want about, he's bounced around a lot and there's some off-ice issues about character. And, you've heard that a lot following him the last couple of years. But he scores. He's going to score 20 goals. Unless he gets hurt and misses substantial time, he's going to score 20. And I think it's really hard to replace a consistent goal scorer like that. You take Tuna's money and you give it to him. And I love Tuna, but I think Hoffman is going to score more goals than him next year. And you can count on it consistently. So he adds some nice options. And
it reminds me of the Toffoli deal.
Yeah, very similar where it's like it's cheap for a guy that's going to score a lot of goals, but there's some I'm not saying this from personal experience, but there's some baggage that comes with it. Obviously, teams don't want to do the term with them, and he keeps scoring everywhere and keeps bouncing around for such a good scorer. So it's interesting. And I'm thinking the Ottawa connection, obviously Weidman on the back end, coming back from the KHL could be a power play option, but interesting to pop over to the KHL and then come back for 1 year.
I think he was just like, because I was listening, I think it might have been Chicklets, where they said like he essentially was like, I have to be the fall guy for this because all the guys in the cab, I think he might have been the lesser known, but I think he was like the fall guy for it. So He went over to the K. I think he was a point per game, if not more.
Yeah, he put up.
So I think it was like the defenseman of the year in the K. So that's good for him to come back over. I'm not sure how the decor is going to look. Obviously, you guys see Edmondson and Petey still together. Yeah. And then you can say Sherratt, Savard.
Yeah, that's a really heavy pairing. Yeah.
Kulak.
You still have Cooley and that's a decent six. I'm happy with that. The Savard signing was a great signing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I like he said he took less to come home, essentially.
For sure he did. That's a hometown discount. As soon as I saw those numbers of a guy that just won the Stanley Cup and pretty well regarded defensive defenseman, shot blocker, and a French guy to come home. It's that was pretty impressive. But I guess he's probably at the stage of his career, right, where he's like, well, I just won the Stanley Cup, so now I want to play at home and check all the boxes. So we'll take him. We'll gladly take him
for sure.
I think him and Sherratt would be hard. That's a hard pairing to play against.
Oh, for sure. And it kind of obviously it doesn't fill that Weber role.
Yeah,
but
not
physicality, it kind of will.
Yeah, I think so. Defensively, for sure. I think it opens the reins a little bit for Benny to get up the ice a little more. Not that he does it a ton, but I think he could take his offense to another level with a guy like Savard backing him up all the time.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good top four. I think you got to be happy with that top four.
I do too, and I think fans got to be a little bit patient because a lot of the fans were kind of upset last year when Edmondson signed for the money, and then I think it was like a month or two into the season, everybody was like, Jesus Christ, that was good. So I think fans just got to be patient. Obviously, don't expect a Shea Weber kind of role, but expect a very defensive, responsible guy that can still produce a little bit up front.
And then it gives you the chance of Romy to still play in that third pairing, and then when he starts to excel and you have to give him more minutes, then that's the perfect situation. Move him up the lineup and move another guy down.
Yeah,
but
and a lot of people forget how young these guys are. Like we're talking like KK pushing the envelope, maybe moving up the lineup, Poehling. Obviously, Suzuki's the 1C now.
Yeah,
that's an anomaly. But when you're talking about KK, Romanov, like Caulfield, and them, you got to remember these guys are all 20, 21. Like nowhere's near their prime.
No, it's incredible, man. It's really incredible. Like I said, when you look at the age of those centers, it's insane. The average age there is like 22. The average
KK just turned 21.
Yeah,
Suzuki's 21, isn't he? 22.
Yeah, 21.
So yeah,
Jake 20,
pushes
25.
That up. That's it.
Yeah,
it's incredible,
wild, man. Absolutely wild. If they give him the chance to play and develop, that's good things to come for the future.
No, most definitely. But I think we'll start winding it down here. Just want to ask you, how's Sweden going? Big ice, not everything like that. We'll just touch on it quickly. How's the time over there?
Yeah, it's I'm still trying to chase down my bags, so I don't have a lot of clothes. I got my Habs Tonight shirt, which is I'm very happy that I brought it in my backpack just in case my bags got lost or something. I was like, we're gonna be banging out some shows. You better have your Habs Tonight merch on. Make sure everybody gets a look at it. But it's been fun, man. Everybody speaks English, which is nice. I didn't expect that. We finished first week of training camp. It was a lot of skating. You know, we had a couple 2-session days and a lot of skating for the big ice. But it's been awesome. I'm pumped to be back in a routine, playing hockey, just being in the dressing room and just hanging out with the guys. I truly miss that. So that's been awesome. We're heading to some kind of island next week to play our first exhibition game. So pumped about that, and I'll keep the Habs Tonight community posted on that with my Instagram and stuff like that to see. Hopefully my bags show up this weekend. I got some clothes though. That's the most important thing.
For sure. So that's your first game since, is it the bubble?
Yeah, since when did we it would have been like middle August, almost a year.
Oh wow. So it's like your first game that's like referees and like legit like hockey pace.
Yeah, absolutely. We had like a open practice last week. We've been scrimmaging 5-on-5 a little bit, but first official game in over a year, so I'm pumped.
Right on. Can't wait to watch that. And obviously you play for Oscar Shaman in the Swedish Elite League. You can find them on social medias too, because I've been following along. Saw your little penalty shot goal there. Went back.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Check them out on social medias to keep on top of what Dale's doing over in Sweden. Obviously, follow us on all of our social medias at Habs Tonight across all platforms, and get the merch, habstonight.net, but also to subscribe to the channel, because even though you're over in Sweden, we told fans we're going to get some good interviews this summer, and we're going to keep rolling. I think we got a couple good ones here coming up soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put Suzuki on the hot seat. I've been hounding him, so I think he'll be next. We'll try to get Caulfield, and we'll try to get a couple of the other guys on. We're not going to be releasing them like every Wednesday and once a week. I'm going to try to do whenever the guys are available. We're going to do them, and we're going to release them and get them out to you guys, because I know You guys are probably starving for content. I know. I'm looking around. I'm not seeing much content on the Montreal Canadiens, so people are dying. So that's what Habs Tonight's for. And be sure to subscribe. Our goal was to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the playoffs. That was our goal. We're a little short right now. We're trying to get there. So
500 away. We can get there.
Be
hit
sure
the
to
subscribe button.
Absolutely. And again, I just wanted. I know I had a couple direct comments about Galley's Wi-Fi and stuff. We're trying our best. We did the best that we could. I'm not trying to steal a guy's time. He was good enough to give us his time. We did the best we could and got it out there. And Galley's just a beautiful human to look at. So if you're a fan, you should just be happy that you looked at him and you saw him on the screen and he was looking back at you. So we'll keep hammering out the content for you guys, and be sure to send us your questions, send us your requests. What kind of anybody you want to get on, I'll feel free to ask him, and we'll see what happens.
I saw one comment just quickly before we head off here. It was like Shaw wasn't lying when he said Galley's cheap, won't even buy internet or something. But I'll leave that off. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, appreciate everybody tuning in. Obviously, we've said a million times, hit the subscribe button and enjoy, because like we said, we've got a bunch of interviews coming. It's going to be a good one. And appreciate Poehling stopping in today. That was awesome. Good interview. And appreciate all the support.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.